assumption based on the performances that we've seen so far.
I'm not actually sat down at the moment, Des.
When are you ever?
Do you know where I am mentally?
You're on the edge of your seat,
I am on the edge of my seat, Des, and I'm sure that everybody else at home is going to be throughout this game. I am sort of praying that neither of these teams run away with it. I don't want a stomp here. I want to see 12 rounds. I want to see 15 rounds, Des. I want to see this one go all the way, tooth and nail. Let's really go at each other. Flores and Nomad, talk to me.
Where's Thatcher? Thatcher's had like a 90% ban rate throughout the entirety of this competition. One of the only games I've seen where Thatcher wasn't banned away was in one of Damwon Kia's games, I believe against Furia last night, where Lion and Dekebi were banned away. But the Flores is a target ban against BDS. Alems has gone on public record and said that he believes Flores is the best operator in the game and massively undervalued, so much so that it's taken away. The Nomad coming through to help, remove the strength of the flank watch. You can't put down those 3 air jabs that are there to prevent roamers doing their job so effectively later into the round. This is a great way of really upsetting the apple cart and letting NiP move more fluidly throughout the map. The last 2 bans, they don't need much introduction. Valkyrie we see a lot on this map because of the outside potential of cameras, and Mira, in the wise old words of Demo, makes good sights great and great sights impenetrable.
Well, NiP, if you want us to believe that you are back, if you want us to believe that you never really left, now is the time to send that message. Coming in so far, 2 wins, 1 convincing, 1 not as much so.
Defenders
this is the time to really send that statement.
I like this as well, because normally Rafal will be the Maverick player coming in for BDS, because Maverick, as we know, can ignore electrified hatches, walls, you name it, and just burn straight through them. What do you do in the spot where you need to bring a Thatcher as you put your Maverick player instead onto playing Thatcher? It does remove some of the nades away from the BDS lineup where they'd normally have 6 frag grenades on side. Here there are just 4. But it means the rest of the team hasn't got to change around it. It's one player that gives still a very valuable piece of information and utility. Can of course deal with the ADSs, can deal with things like the Kite Electro claws if they're stopping a wall, and enables Playday to get those opened up. I like, by the way, it's a real sign of the change for BDS, where Shaiko is not playing Hibana on this map. That has gone firmly over to Playday, and Shaiko is sticking on that tried and tested and proven to be successful entry role in the Iana.
This is a problem. You look at target bans towards BDS and you think, yeah, Iana is actually a bit of a viable target ban. You're going to impact on Shaiko, but you don't impact on Shaiko.
No.
Because he's just going to pick up
Shaiko impacts on you.
He's going to pick up Sophia, he's going to pick up Ivana, he's going to come in on Ashe. He doesn't really care. He's just going to come in on Finka. Any alternative to Iana, Shaiko will pick them up and do the business. So there's just no point trying to sort of stop him in terms of taking operators away from him. So coming in on the Iana, and look at this, they're straight into top floor Shaiko, and this is something that we've seen him do before, so confidently moving through there, and it really tells you the faith he's got in his droning team that are reining those ahead of him. Look, he's just jumping over balustrades, he's just trying to get to them, Des.
Look how fast they've done it, right? 45 seconds has taken them for what most teams would take 90 seconds to do. My metric is always 1 minute 30 is the mark by which the sledge needs to be swinging his hammer on the second floor to start opening up the kitchen. But inside 60 seconds, they're there. Shaiko starting to work his way down these white stairs, looking to cause a little bit of early trouble. Needs to be wary of what is going on inside of VIP, sees the man, and now wants to start taking the challenge. He's got to burn through the ADS. The first one's removed. Flash comes through. A second nade piled in, which will remove not the shield. It was just narrowly off on the angle, blocked slightly by the wall. Gets rid of the ADS, and of course, being Iana, has her own little bit of information she can use here to see that Muzi is still dug in behind the shield and may start trying to think about a push.
Definitely unfortunate for Shaiko there. If he clears out that shield, he can move and make a challenge onto Muzi, but right now, it's a problem for BDS, and it's something they're going to have to solve, Des, if they want to push in through the kitchen. It looks like he might have a little challenge coming in from half stairs as well, so need to be careful. NiP certainly not being scared here. There goes the Gon 6, there goes the deployable shield, so Muzi, he's going to have to drop back and probably just play this a little bit less aggressively now.
Shield coming down. I know he put a lot of focus onto what Shaiko's up to, but of course the rest of BDS are keeping themselves busy around the map. Bit of pressure from Alem starting to be set up on restaurant side, which will put the pinch in onto Muzi. They've identified that getting Muzi out of VIP is their #1 focus, but Playday, he finds the swing inside of white. 3 players converging on 1, and Playday watching the cut that Shaiko has watched most of this round. They won't yet find another as Julio strikes back, and finally it comes through. Playday the second coming in onto Pino in the round. 4 versus 3, 35 seconds to play.
Julio could be a real thorn in the side on the flank here, just playing inside a main door, looking for the bottom of half stairs. Does he get his man? No, he misses. his shots, but he comes around the second time. Psycho manages to drop Shaiko at the same time, and BDS are in a sticky spot here, Des. They've got NiP on both sides of them, and the clock is running down. They've got to get in and do something here. We still have Playday with Diffuser in hand. He's going to try to get it down, but Psycho is on the Echo. Do they know it's going down? He's not going to get there in time, Des, and that is successful. That's a little bit of a slip from NiP there in round number 1. They've allowed that Diffuser to go down, and Renshiro's up above Des. He can watch this vertically. He's on the sledge. He's got the perfect tools to do the job, but he's going to have to win out a 1 versus 3.
They've got to push him and frag him as well. I'm surprised no one went charging up red stairs any sooner to give the challenge so they can try and go for the defuse. Oh, Renshiro, he's found 2! Where's that double kill came from, buddy? Julio flanking in. Renshiro can't see him. Has he got time? Yes, he will, but only very narrowly. If he knows where the diffuser is, we'll just about stick it with 4 seconds to spare. My word, that is one way to start a round.
Well, who else had this one down for an absolute banger, Des? Because we've come out of the gates at 100 miles per hour there. What a round, back and forth, 3 versus 3 at a point. NiP looked like they were in control of it, Des, but for some reason, they allowed that diffuser to go down. Psycho was just late to the party with the Yokai drone, and for a second there, for a split second, you really thought that Renshiro was going to lock it down, but Julio, the master himself, cool as ever, goes in there and gets that final kill with seconds to spare, disables the activated diffuser. NiP take round 1, but there is a lot more action to come here.
Late to the party, brought a bottle of wine and a spare clutch to boot as well. NiP with the first round on the board. It comes down to a 1v1. It comes down to a disable. That shows you exactly what to expect in this game. Bar Cocktail going to be round number 2 for NiP. I'm seeing the castle, I'm seeing the Aruni, and that screams to me, Ace, that lovely favourite strat that I've come to adore, the setup inside a piano with laser gates and castle barricades to lock everything down and deny and, well, drain as much utility from the attackers as possible. It's going to be very time for BDS on how quick they can get this cleared out, how fast they can deal with the extended hold that will go, not from the site, but straight in towards Cigar Shop and look to slow BDS down. Because like we saw in the previous round, they aren't the ones who respect the clock. The clock respects them because they move rapid.
An attacker to keep an eye on here is going to be Lems on the Zofia. You know, we've commented on this countless times. There's how well we saw Bolo deal with this setup at SI21. It might as well not have been in place against him because he would get up on that window rappel at piano, top of your screen now. He'd use that single window on the Zofia and just absolutely remove everything in his path very, very quickly. There's a couple of things that you need to be careful of. ADS is obviously kamikaze on the Jaeger, but there are no WAMI magnets to support, so their ability to deal with projectiles is limited. Not, you know, there is an ability there, but it's limited. They don't have enough to deal with a lot of them. They've also got to be careful of that white stairs door. Immediately, as I suggested, Elem's on the Zofia, he's going to deal with that utility, but he's being super cautious over white stairs.
Very, very cautious. And of course, if you haven't watched too many games so far in this major or weren't too aware, Castle has been given 4 armor panels, which is why every single window in Piano, plus the double doorway that leads into Cigar itself, has been blocked off by the Castle. Laser gates then doubling things up. Alem's being reminded there is someone there. You saw the bullet trails. You knew that he was present, and you said how important the Zofia was. It can't be any more important than this. And Shaiko did not respect the call from Alems as to where Pino was. Or sorry, Psycho finds 2 kills. Unbelievable start for NiP and an uncharacteristic slip up by BDS.
Absolutely, that does. There's no other way we can put it. As you say, the bullet tracers flew out of that window, but Alem still revealed his head and Psycho was able to remove it. That Piano and Cigar defense is almost certainly going to remain largely in place. They've got Renshiro, he doesn't have any nades left. They've got Playday on the Hibana, but it's going to be difficult from that window to start getting through castle barricades, Goyo shield, and everything else that is in there.
No.
Oh, he's getting hit hard as he tries to move inside a piano. Very difficult now for them to do that.
He backed into the laser gate that was on the window. That's a free 30 hit points of damage being taken if ever I've seen it as well. A small kicker, but things are going from bad to worse for BDS here. They might have themselves the control inside a Cigar, but you've still got 5 members of NiP ready. NiP, a team who looked a little bit shaky against IG yesterday, couldn't deal with the coordination and togetherness of the APAC team on Bank. But here against BDS, they've woken up and they've got that world championship mentality breathing through everything they're doing.
Great example of what NiP do here as a team, Des. They've got themselves the first couple of kills, and then what have they done? They've just retired back deeper into site, and that's what NiP will do. They'll bring the early aggression, and then they will try to sit back. Now, against a team like BDS, they might just fall foul there, Des. 2 deaths coming quickly, and we find ourselves now 3 versus 2. 25 seconds left to go, but lots of information on the side of NiP. They've got the bulletproof cameras up there, feeding in the positions. Pino takes full advantage of that, finds Playday. It's all up to Rafal now. He's low health on the Thatcher. He's going to get found out by the bar. He's going to get put in the trash along with the bags that are there, and that's going to be round 2 going to NiP.
A good closeout to the round. Sure, 2 kills come the way of BDS in the mid-round, which I think, if nothing else, just reinforces to NiP. Right, guys, tighten up now. We tried to take a couple of gunfights to close this round out, but let's play together. They dig in deep, sit inside a storage, play around Pixel. Just enough to fire a few bullets out to keep BDS interested, but not enough to make sure that they were going to sacrifice their lives in the process. 2 big rounds to start for NiP on the defensive side. Next, we head into Reading and Fireplace, completing our full 3 rotation of sites. And for a second, I thought we were going to see the Mute Mozzie Vigil combination coming out of NiP, looking to deny away the info game, or at least hinder the info game coming out of BDS, but they've swapped away last second. Instead, it's going to be a pulse coming in for Psycho, which means a lot of C4s, a lot of boom boom time that you've got to be careful of if you're BDS.
Absolutely that. Like you say, going to be in Reading this time around, so a fairly similar setup to last time, but it's not going to be as heavily focused to the far left-hand side of your screen. It's going to be more onto the right-hand side. Barback storage is going to be shored up, so it looks like NiP might play quite a high line here, up towards Pixel, up towards Washroom, Barback storage, and then they'll try and just dip back as time goes on. I mean, we saw a perfect example of it last round. They'll try and get themselves some kills, and then they'll try and dip back deeper and just force BDS to play into them.
It's really interesting how they've reinforced off both of those walls inside of storage, looking towards bathroom. Normally, the right-hand side one is less soft, and you open up a rotation hole there, so the player, often a Rooney or a Jaeger, standing on Pixel or one Mai, if you bring one along, will play on Pixel and be able to dart back in towards site if required. But this just says to me, whoever's playing on white here is committing their life. The big worry you've got is if they start pushing in and challenging from Piano side and also have someone on the white stairs window repel, you are trapped. You cannot get out, which is what made me a little bit nervous seeing that being reinforced off. But just screams, we want to make this hard for BDS. We don't want to give them the freedom to use those rotates for themselves. We'll give a little bit of ground, we'll force them to use a bit of half reach, and then we'll back away. So for NiP, with the composure they've shown so far, this might just prove to be the right play.
Certainly could. BDS really need to be picking up around here, in all honesty. 2-0 to NiP. They certainly don't want to suffer that complete defensive rotation. Now, we've got the Gemini clone from Iana going in and just doing a little bit of drone work, looking to see exactly what the setup is. And the drone from Ranshiro, he's going to pick up on the Rooney that's playing right underneath that skyline. Kamikaze just nearly getting himself caught out as he rotates back to site there. Lem's not able to find the kill. Does do a little bit of damage through the barricade, but he's going to hold his angle for the time being, and again just trying to cut off any rotates for the defenders. So they're trying to force them to just play within a small area here on the top floor. You want to be forcing them to play in Cocktail, White Stairs, and then literally the site itself.
I mean, they're doing a great job, because look at how slow we're seeing. Psycho just knew. We've seen that C4 so much. But look at the high line being held. Yeah, 2 in Cocktail, 1 playing below with the C4. We're 90 seconds in, and BDS barely have control of red. Again, let's not forget, we aren't attacking Bar and Cocktail here, we're attacking downstairs. But like attacking upstairs, you need the majority of the top floor control before you can make anything happen. They are struggling at step 1 here, Ace, and that again is very uncharacteristic for BDS.
It is overexposing themselves to the lines of sight where you know players are going to be. Muzi, he's going to drop back down and rotate along with Pino as well, so it's taken BDS 2 minutes, but they've got control of the top floor. They can start to work with some verticality if Ranshiro gets in there on the sledge. And it's time now for NiP to scramble a little bit, to reposition and to take up those new spots, those new lines of sight inside of sight. Now then, Elems, he knows that there's a man just on the right hand side of the pillar there, but he's not going to be able to find him. He continues just trying to seek his way out. He pushes into sight, just misses the pulse of Psycho as well. Can he get his first? Yes, he can. Finds the head of Julio. 30 seconds left to go. BDS need to get moving, and that's certainly what they're doing.
They've got the vertical control. They've got the exposure into the rotate hole. They can play this perfectly. Pino can try and go for the flank, but he's on a pretty noisy, chunky boy in the Maestro. They'll know that he's coming from a mile away. Plant's gone down. 4 versus 3. And for BDS, they are in a great position here. Everything on the back, for my mind, on that bookcase being opened up by the Zofia. No one can use the rotate. That is such a critical drop angle for defenders as well who want to fall away from the top floor. Really smart play. And we don't see Zofia all that much lately. But that, for me, is a great example of where she isn't used that much. She has the ability to have a massive impact where teams don't expect it.
What was terrifying there from BDS for me was the speed from the point of taking top floor control, which was 2 minutes in. I commented on it. We saw Muzi and Pino dropping away through the hatch. That was BDS gaining top floor control. And the speed with which the round finished from there. 10 seconds later, you've got Elems pushing into site, gets himself an important opener, and it's all over from there. Playday comes in, gets the diffuser down. Such quick, decisive play from BDS.
It was crazy, yeah. I mean, you basically had Elems pushing solo from Snowdoor and start doing work in sight, and no one was there to contest or stop him. It was just very comfortable. Well played by BDS, and finally get that elusive first round on the board, albeit on the offsite. We begin the rotation all over again, back inside of Kitchen. Now recall round number 1 ace, it was ridiculously close. BDS did kind of snag a plant under the noses of NiP that we both said, well, NiP should have been able to stop that. They should have had the knowledge and awareness to be able to stop Playday getting down that freebie plant, and they almost lost the round as a result. 4 seconds, all that gave, or the only space they had for Psycho to get the defuse off in the end. Otherwise, it's a similar setup. You're going to see BDS likely go for the same attack, top floor downwards. One thing I do want to raise, and I know it's still early on, we've only seen 3 rounds. Shaiko, top fragger of the year. 326 kills across our 3 stages. One of only 2 players, Alamal being the other, who have over 100 kills in every single stage this year, has yet to get himself on the board in this game.
This is it, you know, you look at it and you think, he can't necessarily always do that every single game, every
Absolutely
time.
not.
But at the same time, Des, you got to have a reliance on him to do it as well, because, you know, it is a big factor of this BDS team, and there are others who will step up and get those kills in his place, but Shaiko is a difference maker. That is what he does. He's a talismanic player. When he starts stepping up and the kills start raining in, guess what? Everybody else starts getting them as well. He drives the forward. He's like the engine room of the team that brings that energy, and so I think that's a big, big part of this here. If he can start finding some kills, finding his shots, it will really help BDS today.
Maybe he's just a diesel engine, takes a bit of time to get going. Give him a few rounds and I imagine you'll see him warm in, especially on the defensive side. He can be an absolute terror. But again, going by that metric of 1 minute 30, BDS, nice and quick here, have got themselves going. Again, I think I've repeated this before, but the slowest team for me, I recall, at getting that vertical control onto the second floor and opening things up was Norarengo back in the old day. I think 1 minute and 5 was their average when they get control of second floor. BDS have done it here by the 2 minute mark. They are 55 seconds faster than what we saw out of teams like Norarengo previously. And again, most teams sit around that 1 minute 30 average. They are well ahead of pace already.
Just 7 an EMP in there. The first one gets burnt out by an ADS, but the second will do its job. We see the shield disappear, and this is something that BDS do very well, is the teamwork. There's just one piece of utility coming in after another, but there are fractions of seconds in between them, and they're just perfectly ordered to clear out all the utility ahead of them. Now, Muzi was in this position last time, didn't have any success. Once that utility was cleared out, BDS were able to get in and get the kill. Lems did exactly the same as you say. He's going to move onto VIP window. They're going to create a crossfire onto him.
I was going to talk about this as well. Pino is sat at front desk, so Lems is really wary about a run out coming through. He's got himself in the spot he needs to be in, but if Pino runs out and kills him here, that completely removes the threat that sits behind this style of play. They've got to be so wary, but again, it's a 3-person pinch push coming in towards VIP. They don't know where he is. Now Shaiko knows, can he win? No, he can't. Muzi finds one. Is there going to be a trade coming in? Yes, there is. Bredo gets one. Lems gets the run out onto Pino. 2 big kills, and the trap that NiP set that was sprung, but sadly unsuccessful.
Julio just looking at those vertical angles there. He knows that Renshiro is doing that reconstruction work above them, and he's just going to hold those tight pixels to see if he can find his man. He picked him up in round 1. He'll be looking to do it again. Now then, how can you go in there completely unaware of Julio Des? But Kamikaze with a team kill, Toxic Babe. It's all going wrong on every side, Des.
If you listen closely, you can hear the clown music. Not the end to the round that anyone wanted there. 2 players going down to the smoke eventually, and Rafal at the last second stepping into it. Not the outcome BDS wanted of NiP, likely thankful there was that little slip up on BDS's side. Before that, it looked good, but the actual site execute itself, a little bit shaky.
It was
from
late.
BDS.
It was late, is the reality.
Late and shaky.
Late and shaky.
Thank you.
Absolutely no problem. I knew that you were looking for it, Des. I knew that you'd enjoy that one. That was the reality. Playday comes in there. He's absolutely no idea that Julio is led prone in behind that counter. Absolutely no idea whatsoever. It's the freest kill of Julio's life. And there's like 5 seconds left on the clock. The diffuser's down. It doesn't really matter at that point that Kamikaze kills Julio. That's potentially even an active decision. I'm gonna smoke it out because the diffuser's down. They can't then go in, pick it up and plant it. So, sorry Julio, you're caught up in the middle of it, but that's what needs to happen. And it was well played by NiP. Nice defense. I like the way that Pino and Muzi worked to get that opening kill onto Shaiko. Yes, they both lost their lives shortly after, but again, it just burnt so much time.
A lot of time indeed. Now we get this top 4 setup coming in once again. Bit of a contrast to what you saw when they were defending Reading and Fireplace. If you recall, both of those walls that now have a rotate in were reinforced off. Both of the walls from storage into piano, reinforced off. So small changes being brought in, and the main reason why you see these rotates being left open, some walls being left soft, is because they want players to actually play inside there. They've got ADSs, they've got shields facing off in towards piano. If nothing else doesn't say, we want to play here and we want to contest inside of piano, nothing else will. And I like how probably in the last year or so, this has become very normalized. More and more teams will hold inside a bathroom and storage, because why give piano for free? Some teams would say, hey, you can get piano. It's a step forward from there where you'll struggle. Once Wamai came in and started giving teams the idea of, hey, we can lock down Pixel here with shields. To reinforce that, we need someone in bathroom, and oh, why not play someone in storage to give them also more side support? It's now at a point where for the attackers, I think Cafe is really hard to get started in an attack. You're often sat on the windows for a good minute or so. You're trying to get the red drop safely with still being able to have somewhere to go. Often you don't have that. And here you're being stinted back by more and more utility. Laser gates, bulletproofs, shields, ADSs, reinforcements, banshees, you name it, there is something there to slow you down. So for BDS, it's all about the pace and discipline to get this start of the attack underway.
Lem's just desperately trying to find the angle onto that bulletproof camera there, just continually checking his drone to see if he's managed to take the utility out before he proceeds into the room. Now then, drone shot out underneath will signify that there is somebody playing down there, likely with a nitro in hand. Got Julio on the Goyo, and I believe it is him that is going to be playing down underneath. So 5 versus 5, still 1 minute 35 left to go. Muzi just holding down this angle from Washroom still, and BDS, whilst clearing out a lot of utility, they don't have any boots on the ground as they're not quite established inside of the map yet. As you say, burning a lot of time on the repels, trying to get in there, but Shaiko, big opener onto Pino, gets a good nade there, and his first kill of the game.
Lems has had support to get a laser gate open twice. He's had 2 impacts to try and get rid of the shield and can't do it. Shaiko with a wonderful shot will shut down the man that Lems has struggled with for 90 seconds in this round. 2 massive kills, and what a round to start making an appearance. They've got cigar shot control. Kamikaze sees Lems on the window. He's having a torrid time this round, Ace, that's for sure. And now it's about what BDS can do in a 4 versus 3.
Julio on red stairs.
Oh!
He gets 2, Des! Gets 2 before Rafal is able to trade out. He's an actual direct trade as they kill each other, but it leaves us now 2 versus 2, and another round that is just completely up in the air. As the diffuser is down cold, nobody from the side of BDS that has that in hand at the minute. It's Shaiko and Renshiro are left. Renshiro has been able to get in and collect that diffuser. Now then, 30 seconds left to go, and the Aruni gate gets re-engaged. What a time for NiP to be able to get that utility back up and available with limited opportunity for BDS to do anything about it, but Shaiko's woken up. He finds a shot onto Kamikaze, down but not out. It's Psycho, it's 1v1 effectively here, and he finds the kill onto Shaiko, and that is going to be another round for NiP on the defense.
Psycho and Shaiko in the same game hurts my brain for a number of reasons. The pronunciation and the work they've both just done in that round. Unbelievable. Julio on the flank, I think, made that round for NiP. Otherwise, it's a 4 versus 3. They're in full control.
They're on a lurk like that. He's a nightmare. He'll hit nitros. He's great with vertical nitros from underneath. His success rate is fantastic. Moving up red stairs there. Again, something we've seen him do. Count Dorkin, we commented on Rogue the other day how they, seem to be sort of very positive with it. Vitality are another team where they're going to be smiles and laughing, but very, very stern faces at the minute from BDS. They know they've got the work cut out ahead of them. 4-1 to NiP, and this for me is a must-win round for BDS now. They need to find this attack there. They've got to come in, they've got to get the win here and just at least limit this to a 4-2 half. They're going to be attacking onto Reading Room. They won it previously, back in round 3. Playday able to get the plant down. It took them 2 minutes to get control over top floor, but as soon as they did, it was just like a firework going off. You'd had that long fuse fizzling away, and then as soon as that control hit, bang, they lit up the sky, they lit up the round, got the diffuser down, got the kills, and closed it out quickly. More of the same required for BDS.
I would be really curious to know why Moosey's opted in this round for the Warden as well. Clearly a team decision. It's not just he's selfishly gone, I want to play Warden this round. They brought it for a purpose, and one of those most definitely is a shield. But then I'm thinking, well, why not just bring a smoke? Smoke in that spot, you know, FMG, lots of players running around with it these days. We haven't seen Ying ever really be a thing for BDS, the sort of execution-based operator with the Candelas delivering a lot of flashes, for example. Just seems a little bit murky to me, but we'll see what the game plan is for it and whether or not it has an impact. BDS already getting started on the top floor.
As you say, you know, you've got flashes on the part of Hibana there, but they'll at most probably be used to clear out utility. You know, they'll be looking to clear out those ADSs, if anything. We'll see as the round progresses, just whether that functionality of Moosey's sort of secret agent glasses that allow him to clear off flash effects or to see through smoke, we'll see whether that has any impact now then. That is a position that was played last time around.
Oh no!
Picked up on Psycho Des. They don't know that he's a piano, and he's played them a tune. He's played them like a fiddle with that kill. Drops himself away. Julio doubles down and finds one. 5 versus 3. I asked if NiP were back. Well, it certainly looks that way at the minute.
He's done the same before, though. Remember back a couple of rounds ago when he was sat inside here and killed 2 members of BDS? And we were like, guys, how have you let that happen? Again, I keep on saying it, but it's uncharacteristically small mistakes from BDS that we normally see non-existent in their gameplay are reigning through time and time again. And there'll be questions being asked about this. Sure, it's one game that looks off, but it's been one game before. I think back to BDS against TSM on Oregon, back at SI. That was the game for me where I was like, these boys haven't got it in them to go on and win. And I thought BIOS might have helped them work out a lot of those kinks. And it is far from over. This is only one game, let's not forget. But we said the loser of this game is pulled back into a war with the winner of the other game. Kamikaze finding Playday. Rafal pushing his way in through snow, a spot that we used to see 11s push in from. At least that's how it worked out last round. C4 on side is shot out, but it's a 2 versus 4 in 45 seconds. Not optimistic about BDS's chances.
Absolutely not. It's going to be very difficult, but Rafal, he manages to get the kill onto Julio. Moosey, however, trades it out. 1 versus 3, all up to Renshiro. He is full health. He is a player that we know has the capability for this, but it's going to be very difficult. Moosey, just little shots raining through as he takes backward steps down the white stairs to adjust his angle of attack, finds his kill, finds the round. 5-1 half for NiP, but Des, don't you dare write BDS off yet. Switching sides, getting themselves onto the defense. That is hopefully going to be the motivator that they need. That's hopefully going to be the change that they need, is to get themselves onto the defense. Because for me, BDS, they've been struggling with information. We've said it a couple of times. They've just been hit on the flanks with no awareness that Psycho is led down on piano stage, for example. Just didn't know he was there. It was an absolute freebie, and at least that element goes away a little bit when you play on defense.
I've got to pull us back to the conversation we had before a bullet was fired. We spoke about the Nomad ban. We saw Julio come up red stairs and destroy BDS from behind in that 1 round on the attack. And whilst the Nomad wouldn't strictly help you against a sneaky little rat hiding inside a piano, it gives more control to BDS. An excellent ban coming out here that's really starting to have a significant impact. Let's see then how things work through. And to be fair, the ban was by BDS. It wasn't banned by NiP, but it's definitely starting to sting on the side of BDS. Now they move over to the defensive side. Playday, you're going to see him, I would imagine, rotating between what would normally be a Tachanka or a smoke. Renshiro is bringing up those duties in this round. A little bit uncharacteristic because we're used to BDS bringing one or the other. They're not really a team that play both the Tachanka and the smoke at the same time, both filling a similar function of space denial inside the site, normally later into the round. But at least here, that's part of their game plans, in their wheelhouse.
Certainly is. We're going to head into round number 7 then. It's going to be the first defensive round for Team BDS, and they are going to be going all the way down to Kitchen to try and hold on to this. NiP moving quickly towards the map. They're not going to meet too much resistance off in the map. There is one roamer that we can see ahead of us, I think just playing on the middle floor.
Wait, where's the skin? Where's the skin?
Where is the skin?
Where is the wild card skin? It is the best skin in the game, Psycho. And instead of running around with like the full stock skin, are all players doing that?
It feels like sort of like them footballers. You know, occasionally you'll get a footballer who's really good, but they just don't wear flashy boots. Like some of the players all wear like the flashy colours, and then you'll get someone just turning up in plain black boots. Like, I really mean business, and I feel like Psycho really means business today.
All I'm saying is I'm wearing dark shoes and you're wearing very light shoes, and what you've said there is that colourful or bright shoes are quite showy for those that have got
I mean, Des,
a lot of flash but no substance.
Look at the shirt that I'm wearing. Come on, Des, I don't think you need to look at my white shoes to be calling me flashy.
Very true. Moosey Crouch walking down white, going to find his man. Surely, should be winning that every single day of the week, but it's Alems with the entry. Now charging back down to site, happy with the loot that he has snagged around the map, and returns back victorious to the camp of BDS.
Losing Ash, not the end of the world for NiP. They've still got a lot of the utility they need. Julio with the soft breach. They've got Pino on the sledge, so they can get that job done, start working those vertical angles.
I raise to you, it is relatively significant as well, because they've lost 3 breaching charges, they've lost 2 breaching rounds. That was their range destroyer for things like the Banshees coming out from Shaika, which now they're going to have to deal with a little more head-on, or rely on the sledge to be able to nade out, and that's not going to be so simple. Let's see how things go to as they now turn their attention in towards Fireplace to get the hatch open, ready for this drop. The rest of the team building up around Kamikaze, but remember again that it's a 5 versus 4.
NiP working pretty quickly here, but I'm just interested. I think that BDS have got one off. Yes, Playday is playing inside of VIP, and if they're going to use that hatch drop and try and get themselves inside a freezer, they really do need to deal with Playday in there, because he's going to be able to come in and make a challenge in the late round if needs be.
And look at it, not a single player from BDS is on site right now. They're all playing these perimeter rooms, admittedly all on the ground floor, but all scattered around. 2 inside a bakery, 1 in coat check, 1 in VIP. Everyone's just playing it not so much aggressively, but they're ready to have another space to fall back to when the push comes through.
Trying to entice them in.
Yeah, what makes me nervous about that slightly is if they do get a drop down here and manage to get into freezer, that's why smokes are being piled in there, why Renjiro is chucking in the Shumikers, for example. They need to stop that drop coming through. Julio on the march, sees one at red, brings him down, traded out a second later, but swings and gets the kill for the trade. Beautiful. Kamikaze getting the plant off, Pino looking in for the drop as well. It's the same spot as Playday, and no one is there to stop him.
Really cannot allow the plant to go down like that, as you said, Des. They were just sort of banking on being able to manage inside of sight from externally, but they were unable.
Oh, what?
And in the way, Lems, he manages to find himself too. The last man is up above. It's Psycho. He's in a 1 versus 2 now. Is there going to be an opportunity? He's got the angle that he needs, Des, and there's nobody on the mid floor to challenge him.
Got to push him.
It's not going to be easy for BDS here. Somebody needs to get themselves up those white stairs, but that's not going to happen. Rafal, he's looking for it. They tried to cover the angle. Unable. And Psycho gets both from above and just closes out another great round for NiP.
I was just readying a line for a Lems auditory with the 3K drop. It would have been biblical if he pulled it off and won the round from there. But Psycho, man, playing huge. Spoiler, we spoke about it back when it was NiP on the defense and saying, why is no one pushing upstairs? Why aren't they contesting on the verticals? They did eventually. It was Julio to come and pull that off. But for the side of BDS, they commit to staying on site. A bit of a scramble at the last second there and can't quite complete it. Psycho with an incredible 1 versus 2 shuts down the round. They are 6-1 against BDS, and I did not expect to be saying that line today.
Absolutely not at all. They really are running rampant over them here. NiP have turned up for this, but by contrast, Des, I just don't feel that we're seeing the best out of BDS here. They're not necessarily winning the fights. So Lems, getting that opener there, he was kind of fortunate that shots were missed.
I'll give it all to NiP. They have abused every gap in the plans coming out of BDS. Whether it's a lack of droning somewhere, whether it's always having a fallback plan, whether it's flanking onto them, there is always something in mind. The fact that they got control of the vertical there was what really played spoiler to the end of the round and didn't give any time for BDS to be able to swing back in. This was always my concern with BDS historically, is they're a team that do very much the same thing. They love their turtle strats. You watch them defending Clubhouse Basement, most teams will roam, they will stay on site in 90% of situations, and teams are able to abuse that. I honestly thought that they were just that good that it would be hard to break it open, but my god, NiP is showing you can destroy any setup they bring along, and it's working wonders.
Certainly is. We're going to be going up to the top floor this time around for a BDS defense. They decided not to try into kitchen again, not after the last time. Now then, no mistakes possible for BDS from here. They've got to win every single remaining round if they want any chances here. That will get them into overtime. But NiP, they've already been playing pretty comfortably, I think it's fair to say, Des, and now the pressure's off almost. You've got to that point where you've guaranteed yourself overtime as a minimum, you've got the match point, and you're looking at sailing towards the top of the league table.
That's just it, Tim. They've got 5 rounds to play with here, and I'm not saying, sure, let's just throw 3 at the wall and not worry about them. No, you want to end things out as soon as you can, because round difference and head-to-head does matter. Let us go through to overtime, you drop at least 1 point to the loser. That's not going to be ideal at all. Here at least getting themselves started and trying to figure out how to deal with the setup coming out of BDS. They've got bandit charges down there, the batteries have been deployed, they've taken out the drones really well so far. This second shock drone will be the difference maker, I think. If they cannot get rid of the gadgets they need with this shock drone after the first one failed, it's going to be the old classic, you know, just really have to try and brute force your way in. And that doesn't really work out the way you want it to.
Necessarily. I mean, they've got Thatcher on side as well, so, you know, it's going to be a potential opportunity there, like you say.
Yeah, just trick there, wouldn't you, these days?
Yeah, that's it.
Bandit you bring along when you want to trick more actively, Kide when you just want to leave something electrified permanently and step away.
Exactly that, exactly that. But obviously the changes to Bandit, you know, they're a little bit more tricky because his batteries are no longer destroyed by Thatcher, so he's got to sort of shoot them off, and it was essentially a alteration to Thatcher's gadget more than anything, so that he wasn't permanently destroying things, but it has changed that mechanic. Now then,
here we go.
Kamikaze goes in, gets kill onto Playday. Psycho tries to get aggressive and push into site here. That's exactly what he's going to do. He's going to find himself by the bomb chassis, but he gets shut down. 2 kills from Rathal coming quickly. Alems was in there on the mix as well. 3 versus 2, and all of a sudden, this NiP attack has started to crumble, Des.
Expecting someone to come up behind them as well, which I don't quite think is the play. BDS again are just going to dig in and say, if you really want to come try and get this diffuser, then by all means do so. 2 playing out towards the east, 1 still inside a bathroom watching the rotate, daring someone to step across. If he watches intently enough, he might find someone, but look at how many shields are scattered around this top floor and still not dealt with. 1 might get taken out there, I think, or it might have been eaten up by an ADS, I'm not sure. They find 1, Pino bringing it down to a 1 versus 2, but Shaiko doesn't lose those, takes the closing 2, and BDS win round 8.
Very important. I mean, it's going to be very important for BDS to win every single round from here on out if they want to get anything out of this one. But it was a nice little solid defense from them. NiP were cut down as they tried to get aggressive, and I think really it's sort of like a little bit of a warning shot. Psycho, he's just walking into sight. He's just walking on in, playing under Skylight. He can't be allowed to get away with that, and he's not allowed to get away with that.
When was the last time you saw yokais being used to actively disrupt a gunfight like that, by the way? They're very commonly used as information or to interrupt plants, not really to be used aggressively and to, you know, blast players as they're stepping in for a gunfight, because I honestly think if he hadn't been blasted at that moment, his aim was spot on to get himself a headshot, but because of what came through, the recoil went up, he completely missed his shots, and we saw what happened from then on out. Really good stuff coming out from the supportive Echo. Let's see how round number 9 goes. The Monty being brought in by Psycho. Now, we talk about the kind of big Monty players around the world. I think we said Mint from NA, we had Lunar Metal coming in from APAC, we had Psycho coming in for LATAM, and of course Pengu from EU. This is one of the old classics in a way, and what everyone always used to say about Psycho's Monty is he is very happy to walk up to you and be aggressive on the Monty. He isn't worried about, oh, I might get shot from behind. No, he believes in the team, has the aggression to really use and get up in your face and make you nervous. This could just completely catch BDS off guard.
That's it, it could just bully them around the map, essentially. But we'll see whether they've got a plan in place, whether they've got any idea of how they're going to deal with that. I mean, they do have a couple of bits of utility on side that should help them. They don't want to waste too many of the Shumiker launcher charges. They're looking to try and deny a plant with that, but you've got the Shumiker launcher, you've got smokes on the side of Playday, you've even got the Malusi Banshees that will slow down and make that Monty's life miserable. So if he plays into that utility, it could be a problem for Psycho. If not, he may well have, as you say, the opportunity to bully BDS a little bit here. Now, they've gone back down to Kitchen. Des, we saw them in round 7 try to defend Kitchen. It was a little bit chaotic, but they played completely hands-off site. They tried to defend it from outside of the site instead. And all it really did was created a space for NiP to play into and get the diffuser down. So BDS need to be very aware of that this time. They need to be able to impact on any potential plant, and it just felt like NiP chose a spot that they couldn't get anywhere near.
Absolutely. Well, let's see how this round steps through now. Quite quick on the top floor is Muzi with an active drone in front of him. 3 members of NiP on drones. I spoke about this in the cast earlier on with Blue, that you do get these kind of multi-phase points of the game. The first one where it's about getting to the building safely, then it's getting on drones to start setting up for the execute and making sure that setup is safe to do. Then it's about droning for the execute, then actually executing. So 2 droning phases and 3 actual action phases essentially for the attackers to work through inside 3 minutes. Cafe is one of those maps that you have to get up onto the roof to really start out any round, unless you're going direct to site through, say, the basement, but it's very rare that teams do that these days.
Pino upstairs on the sledge, looking for those vertical angles. Didn't really sort of use them to huge effect last time around. It did support them to get in. I mean, most importantly of all was Psycho using those in the post plant. So, you know, this is always being done thinking ahead as well. It's not just about disrupting the defenders on site, it's about setting up for those potential late round situations. Shaiko somehow has taken Psycho out, and that is the monster.
Oh, was he on the rappel? I think he was on the rappel towards top roof and he's fell down and died after being shot out from the window. They had a player there to cover him, the cover wasn't being given, and that's the loss of your Monty. That's a real kicker. Shaiko, speaking of which, kicking into action these last couple of rounds. Gone from what, 0 and 4 to 6 and 7. He's starting to turn on ace, and this is where I start to feel nervous. A 3K coming in as well, shutting down NiP's attacks single-handedly.
It's what BDS need. As I said, he's sort of at the end. Shaiko, unfortunately, yes! Shaiko with an ace out of absolutely nowhere, and look at the reaction of Elems in the middle. That is what BDS need, and that is what Shaiko brings. He is the spark in the powder keg, and right now he might have just set off a chain reaction. They got to feed on it, Des. There's a long way to go yet, but they've got to feed off of that.
If we were asking questions a few rounds ago on where Shaiko is, here is your answer.
Here he is.
Here he is. He's popped his head up and popped a few heads on the way through, making it look easy for himself. This is a naughty little shot here. And to then step out when the trade attempt was coming in and get the closing connecting 5th kill. No member of BDS died. Shaiko 1v5. Welcome to Sweden, boys.
It's becoming one of those LAN experiences, isn't it? To get
I love it. I love it. The thing is, we've been saying, me and you, all week long, like, we're getting really excited now. Every day that excitement is just building to a fever pitch. And now it's in the way I'm like, I knew why I was excited now.
Moments
wonderful.
Like that. Moments like that. I mean, we've had some, you know, just to sort of zoom out from this specific game a little bit to, you know, think about the tournament in general. We've had some absolutely unreal.
Fultz is 1v4 yesterday.
I was going to say, Fultz is 1v4. Fultz, for me, MVP so far. Fultz has had some huge moments. Don't forget he had the ace on Cafe as well. He had an ace. Fantasy then comes back and returns with an ace. Back-to-back aces in those rounds. Rampy's had some big moments as well. You know, it's been a tournament of grandstand moments so far, and you just know that it's going to continue.
I think it's one of those that you look at and you can just point to most teams and say that's a superstar in the making.
Yep.
Look at like Yas, for example, on Damwon Kia. Lights out so far this tournament.
It makes it so difficult to predict, because coming in here, I'll be honest, hands up, I was a little bit concerned about NiP. I wouldn't have put them in sort of the bottom tier of teams, but, you know, I thought they were sort of middle of the pack, realistically, given the results recently, and you look at it and think, well, you know, they're sort of struggling, they've been losing the gunfights, you know, and we saw that against Invictus, but then all of a sudden they just come in and switch it on. But right now, BDS, they're doing the best to switch it off, and they are doing pretty well over the last couple of rounds. They've got themselves 2 back. They find themselves at 3-6 now. They've got 3 more to win. They need a complete defensive rotation, and that is going to start in Reading Room.
You missed the golden shot at BDS doing their BD best there. That would have been the one to lead this round in with, because I
left it for you.
They're giving it their all to fight. Yeah, but I kind of done it in the meta way where I break the 4th wall and don't roll it into a cast. It's not as impactful then.
Of course it is. It impacted me, Des.
You felt it deep inside the soul.
Absolutely. As I always do. As I always do when casting with
Edge of my seat, Des, as he'd say. Let's see how things get shaped up then. Psycho starting off inside Piano again, working top down, always the way that these rounds are going to start, and Piano is always going to be the point of entry. There are 2 or 3 members of BDS holding out towards Cocktail side here, just looking to impede these members of NiP. And interestingly, no reinforcements being committed out to these walls. Remember earlier on for NiP, they reinforced off all of that. Reinforced storage, bathroom, the 2 walls in between. That wasn't a thing for them here. And Alems is daring someone to get a little bit comfortable and start pushing down wide, but he crouches under his crosshair. What is that?
Oh, I was just waiting for that, Des. It was going to be an absolutely beautiful one-tap.
There's still time. There it is.
There you go, Alems finding that vertical angle. And NiP, Des, falling foul of something they took advantage of, and that is not knowing where those defenders were. You can't play around that hatch like that if you know you've got a Mozzie underneath you, because he doesn't have it here, but there is the potential for him to have a Nitro as well. There's many risk factors there that they've not picked up on, and as it is, Alems punishes them with a nice opener onto Muzi.
I did wonder where all these reinforcements have gone. They had 2 on the east storage wall, so their line, this is BDS's line compared to NiP's, which was quite far west, has been pulled quite a way back. S-Cairo is being used to open up the floor. You don't commonly see that, but of course the big question is, what else are you going to use them for in this round? You might wager, looking at, say, the reading wall. BDS's comms right now, I guarantee you, are on fire with all X-Kairos down. They can't open reading wall. They now know that is a safe spot and no one can open it up from the other side. That's, although it didn't really look important, I didn't think it was at first, that could have a pretty significant impact on this round.
Just Pino trying to tickle the shoes of Rafal there, but he decides instead to go route 1, finds himself a headshot, but there's only 7 seconds left. There's Kamikaze has got to stick this plant. The important kill comes in from Pino.
Oh my God.
It looks like BDS can't do anything about it, but Renshiro does. He finds the only kill that counts, and he keeps BDS alive. They were so close to losing that one.
That was almost a perfect example of why vertical control is so valuable in this game. They get 3 kills with only 1 player being on the same floor as the site itself. Of course, Kamikaze going in for the plant. They got 3 kills from the vertical. The last one, though, Renshiro managing to somehow act like Neo from the Matrix, dodging every bullet that came his way and get the kill that he needed. You'll see it here. This one onto Rafal started things off, and the next 2 that came playing massive spoiler to BDS in several instances. Although BDS are getting the occasional like surprise kill or unexpected outcome in a round, it doesn't feel as solid as NiP. So I do think NiP are closer to winning an attacking round than BDS were back in their first half. I would not be surprised if either after that tactical timeout or in the round after we see them walk through. And Ace, I've got to touch on this because this will shock you. Kamikaze, not on the Thermite, he's on the Maverick.
I don't know what's going on there. Kamikaze, as we know, serious Thermite main, but we've not really seen too much of it. But Cafe's not really.
No, you need the range normally.
Need for Thermite, as you say, you need that range. That's why we've seen him bringing the Hibana along. That's why we've seen those other operators coming in.
Interestingly, you've got Julio and Muzi going onto the Sophia and the Ashe. The good old school combo, the long-range destruction, the soft destruction coming through from those operators. What I'm surprised by is, one, there's no Thatcher to come through, so mute jammers, ADSs, the bandits, for example, are going to be just fine. And you've got the Maverick that is a very obviously near-field sort of heart breacher. You need to be up against the wall. That always makes me nervous when you're pushing in on this top floor, because say for Hibana, you can be on rappel on the windows and get these walls opened up from afar. As a Maverick, you need to be right up against them. The main thing it does give them is another pair of frag grenades, which of course Hibana doesn't have. She has the flashes instead. So maybe that's part of it. But I'm just a little bit nervous and thinking, well, how are you guys getting these walls open without being shot?
Right, Des, we're underway. This could be leading us into round 12. A round 12 that, if I'm honest, I didn't think we'd have any chance of seeing when NiP was 6-1 up and really dominating things.
Just give us 15. Just do
it now. Let's just take us to round 15 now. But we don't want to miss the fun along the way of getting there, of course. Now, Pino just using the jump function of that drone to try and spot out exactly what's going in bar back storage without losing it to the mute jammer. Ultimately, he does lose it, but the nade is going to go in. Will it be successful? It clears out the shield, yes. Mute jammer, no. So won't be any more access for the drones going in there, but it will allow NiP to challenge a little bit easier. And as I suggested, Des, NiP more going back to basics here, not rushing in, not trying to get those kills. They're trying to clear out that utility. They're trying to do what they should. They're not jumping to point 3 or 4 on the checklist. They're trying to make sure that they've got through the first steps.
Still obviously more to do, and it does feel like the drone denial game coming out of BDS has been pretty good. We've seen a couple of rounds now where shock drones have come through, for example, and NiP haven't got rid of what they want. I mean, that's just cheeky. That's just BM at this point.
Well, using that Yokai drone, we've seen it done before. You send it up through the hatch and it just drops back down to safety. Really does keep it out of the way. It's feeding information. It's stunning players. It's wasting time. We've got an hour 15. I wish there was an hour 15 left on the clock, but there's 1 minute 15 left on the clock. Muzi opens things up at that point with a kill onto Elems. That's going to leave us now in a 5 versus 4 for NiP, and they are doing this much better than they did back in round 8, Des. It's patient. It's progressive. They're moving through and they're picking up one after another and trying now to clear the man out of White Stairs. BDS, I feel like they're teetering here, Des.
Oh, the shot as well. Shaiko charging up, but will get traded out. Forced to move forward, can't sit on White Stairs because of the grenade. Rafal, a great swing coming onto Muzi. It's trade for trade in this round so far. A 3 versus 3, 30 seconds to play with NiP. They've got to get a wiggle on. Starting to move their way up towards White. Pino once again on the Impel. Sees a man for free there. No trade coming in, but does he know about the man in deep storage? There's 2 of them hanging out on the near side here. Pino on this window could do quite a bit of damage if he's holding on to the right window. Doesn't see the man. There we go. Steps round for free. There's 1 left in deep storage. Can Playday clutch out? We know what he can do. Plant's going down. Sees the man but can't do it. Pino gets it. NiP take the game. They go first in Group C.
Much closer than maybe it should have been, Des. 6-1 finishes 7-4, but NiP get a good job. Well done there. BDS, they really tried their hardest to fight their way back into it, but they were just unable to keep that momentum going to get the 5